I am live. Let's see. Now, will it show on YouTube? Let me see. Oh yeah, there I am. Okay. Well, hello. I have one person who's joined me. Yes, I'm laughing because it's my husband, but that's okay. I will take it. It's a little obvious. We have the same last name. Oh boy. Okay, so anyway, what we're here today is to talk about, I don't have anybody on live right now, which is perfectly fine. We had a little glitch there, and I'm going to go ahead and just go right through my training I have for you today, my teaching I have for you today. As I said, what I'm going to talk about today, I experienced in my own experience. And what I'm going to talk about today is the pain pattern that kills your flow, and how to break it fast. This is so important because we go through these cycles when we are trying to achieve and to grow. We're going through so many different things when we're doing something different than our norm, doing something different than what our body, or I'm sorry, our mind believes that we can do. And the reason our mind is not quite caught up with where our heart is and what our passions are is because of fear. And so panic sometimes sets in. So for joining me, Anurg Kumar. Thank you for joining me today. We're talking about flow and how to maintain that flow when you are trying to achieve something, and what happens. What do we do when we break out of our flow? Our brain starts interfering, right? So today, just want to welcome you. First of all, this is our 4th live, so thank you for joining me, Brain Robatio, I believe, and then IDKWTD. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, my husband left. He did. So thank you all for joining. I'm so glad to have an audience to talk to today. So if you are someone that is an entrepreneur, maybe you have a small business, maybe you have an online business, maybe you have a small brick and mortar that you're starting, maybe you're trying to do some type of YouTube channel or YouTube video. These things are big steps that we're taking in our life to really do something different. And when we're doing something different, which is what I want to talk about today, we fall into what I'm calling a panic pattern. And we're going to talk about that today because no longer do you have to hide from yourself or hide from others around you on the panic and the pain you might be going through when you're trying to achieve things in life. Yes, so I'm glad that you're resonating with this. Because it kills your flow, and everybody knows that when we want to achieve something, flow is so important. How many of you thought about how important flow is, and when you felt that momentum, that flow, that essence of flow within your body and your mind, and all the cohesion is working great, and you're doing beautifully and fluidly, it feels fantastic. But the second we start thinking about it, it shifts somehow, some way. And we're like, wait, how can I get that flow back? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So there are so many reasons why this topic is really important, not only because I know that it's a real thing. It's a real thing that we go through. Okay, so you get distracted. What that sounds very familiar because I do too. And I think to myself, gosh, why do I let these things distract me? But what's the number one thing that distracts you? Do you work from home, or do you work somewhere else in a brick and mortar? What are the things that are distracting you? I know for me, if I haven't I don't know, done the dishes. Sometimes they can sit there forever, but the second that I want to do something for my business, the dishes are annoying me and I get distracted and I have to go do that, right? I don't know why that works that way, but it really does. Let's see, social media. Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what you mean by number one. But yes, social media, that kind of gets us distracted. Oh, love. Yes, when you fall in love, yes. In a relationship, you want to be with that person or call that person or they call you. Yes, absolutely. I definitely resonate with that as well. So it's so important to understand why our body does this, why we go into a panic pattern every time we're going to go to achieve something. And there are many, many different reasons why this happens. So the first thing I want to talk about is I have any of you heard of human design? Human design is something that I use to help learn and understand a little bit more about my body, my mode of being, I like to say, and understand what drives the energy. For me, I do have to do something that I'm passionate about and I really have a heart connection to. And when I'm doing something that I have a heart connection to, I have that carrot in front of me, so to speak, that says, you know, if you do this, then people are listening, right? You coming on here today is very motivating for me to continue to do lives. And so we have to understand what's motivating us. For me, I am highly emotional. So when I think that something is really working, I get super, super excited. So I kind of have to wait until my emotions level out. And so that works together for me. My root chakra, or in human design, the root center, and then my emotional wave, which comes from the solar plexus. These kind of communicate with each other as far as what's going to drive my energy forward. So when I know that, I could pay attention to those areas in my body and give it some attention, make sure it's ready to dive into the work that we're about to do. Let's see. IDK says in last month I was in profit of about $2 to $3K, but I have to do more. Yeah, money is a huge motivator. You start seeing that coming in with the work that you're doing, right? Last week I had talked about the attention I was getting from my shorts, and I started off doing shorts maybe one a day, and for me that was actually a lot. And I saw that they were getting attention. And then what did I do? I up leveled and I decided to do 2 a day. Then in the last week and a half, I was doing 3 a day. So what happened? I nearly burned out. I don't know if you joined me last week in the live talking about how I nearly burned out with that, and I thought I was burnt out actually. The next morning when I was feeling it in my body, I could not get up from bed, and that lasted about 3 days. I did get up from bed afterwards, but for 3 days I had no motivation, no inspiration, no desire to do another short. As a matter of fact, I haven't done one since, other than looking back on old videos and repurposing those to create a couple of shorts, and then shorts for announcing the live. But okay, yeah, well, I'm glad this is your first time and I'm glad that you're here. So I felt that, but the difference is that in the past, old Princella would have been in the bed and literally stayed in the bed, maybe for like a day and a half, right? The new Princella said, whoa, I am really tired from all the work that I did. I am going to rest. I'm going to take a nap. Maybe I'll get up around noon or whatever, take my time, see how my body feels, and then get up. But when we have motivation, they only last for a few days. It's true, yes. So what I learned with my latest experience, which for me, that drive, that momentum and drive was not something I had experienced before. So it was an elevation that I had to learn, how do I work through this and manage my doing energy with my feminine energy of relaxing and honoring that space, right? How do I do both? And that's a piece of what we're going to talk about today. First of all, it's understanding, where's this energy coming from in our body? It's coming from the root center, our solar plexus, our spleen. You know, the energy is coming from those areas, and it's communicating up to the throat, where we communicate what we want to do. Notice I did not mention the mind. As soon as the mind starts interfering, it says, you're doing too much, nobody's going to see this anyway, you know, you didn't sleep very well last night, you're working too hard, right? And then that's when it kind of comes into the body, when we accept those thoughts, right? Do you guys resonate with this? Yeah, so you do drop shipping. Awesome. Okay, so this is what happens. It's a cycle that keeps happening over and over again until we at least acknowledge it. And when we acknowledge what's going on, say our mind starts saying all these things that I just mentioned, right? We think these thoughts like, you're going to get tired, you're working too hard, nobody's listening, nobody's clicking and signing up for your email list. When those things happen, it's so simple, guys. It's ridiculously simple, but for some reason we lose track because we get sucked into the negative energy of those thoughts. But we can actually have control of the mind and say, thanks for that reminder, maybe I'll take a break now, you know, and you go for a walk. Or thanks for that reminder, but I'm actually feeling great, you know, and I'm going to keep doing this until I need to eat lunch, or whatever it is. I mean, literally have a conversation with yourself. And when you do that and honor that our energy does not come from the mind, and satisfy the questions that our mind gives us, it can rest. It can rest, and then we can go back to what we're focusing on, right? So, all right, so let me go back, because I really have a couple things that I really want to make sure I talk about. And I kind of went off on a tangent there with my own personal experience, because it's very relevant, right? I mean, I could tell that this is very relevant and something that you all have experienced as well. So let's see. Number one, the first thing I want to teach about is that panic is misaligned root energy. And I just gave you a live personal experience about what that meant to me and what that looked like for me. Even after I developed flow state manifesting, it happened again, but at a new level for me. It was a new level for me, so new fears were popping up in my mind, right? So that's one misconception, is that once we have an idea that's working and we're working it and people are interested, the misconception is that we won't have those things come up that hold us back again. But the truth is that every time you elevate to another level of yourself and experience things that you have never experienced, those thoughts will come back in again, you know, and only if you allow it, panic will set in and it detours your energy. So understanding the connection to the root energy and alignment, and a misalignment translates into panic. And I'll talk a minute about how we stay away from that. Good thing we have notes, right? Because this is why the thing I wanted to explain about the panic response, that is either we push through, like we know we're tired and we push through. We say, oh my gosh, I just need to finish this one thing. I just need to edit this one thing. I just need to record this one thing. I just need to make another sales call, whatever it is. And I need to get one more. And you're pushing. This is the moment where I'm hugely big on just pausing and taking a deep breath. And we'll walk through that in just a moment, but we want to stay away from pushing. Yeah, it happens a lot. Yes, it does. We want to stay away from pushing. Now, it's okay if we start in that direction, and then when we interrupt that pattern, that's when we're doing good. We're holding back on that pattern and saying, okay, let me just take a few deep breaths here and see how I feel. The other response may be that you freeze. you totally get brain hold on, brain fog. You get brain fog, you can't remember what you're going to do next, you start shuffling for, well, if you're anything like me, you have like all the tabs open, so you're trying to figure out what tab was I on, where am I going, what was I doing next, right? You freeze. And then, thanks. And then the other thing is that you just react, right? So one of those three panic responses happen: pushing through, and that's more of a force energy. The difference between that pushing and the reacting is that pushing through is more of a force energy. Reacting is that, you're just kind of mechanically moving through the motions, right? You're tired, and you're tired, you need to eat, you need to use the restroom, whatever it is, and you just keep reacting, right? Very similar to push, but slight subtle difference. All right, let's see. It's not a permanent thing, right? It's just a temporary thing for you. Okay, all right. Okay, yep, thanks for sharing that. The second teaching I want to share is emotional authority. So actually, let me know, are you someone that like has a gut response to something, that you say, oh, you literally physically feel something in your gut that says, yes, I need to go do this thing? Or are you someone that has like a knowing? You're like, I don't know how I know this, but this is right, and this is the angle I want to go. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's a teaching and that's good too, and sometimes it works out to be some kind of success route. Or do you have an emotional trigger, like I was saying, super excited, like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this, I'm so happy, I'm so excited, I can't wait to tell everyone, does any of that? So option 2 was for you, so that was a knowing, right? Okay, so when we have a knowing, so many times what we need to do with that knowing is to look for signs that kind of pull us in that direction, right? So we have this knowing, and then you take your first step toward that thing. Now, when you take your first step toward that thing, you pay attention again. Now, how do I feel at this step? Does that make sense? Instead of diving in, which sometimes it does call for an immediate response, and even if you do a dive-in move and have an immediate response, you still want to do a check-in with every step. Does this still feel right? Does this still feel right? Do I bring in this person? Do I go alone? Just keep checking in with your body at every step. And the first inkling of, oop, that's it, I can't go any further here until I research, without a specific example, but maybe research, see how I feel tomorrow, let me sleep on it. And if it still exists in your body as a go, then you go. You say, but I think a lot after I do any move. Yeah. So is it a supportive thinking through, or does it feel like a fear-based fear-based thought? The thinking that you have, is it more fear-based, or does it feel action-oriented and inspiring? We definitely know the difference when it's fear-based or it's an inspired action. So just ask yourself, okay, so if it's fear-based, then we want to rest on it. We just want to take our time, maybe a couple hours or maybe the next day. The last thing that you want to do in a fear-based decision, if fear is coming up, the last thing you want to do is make a decision based off of someone else's urgency. If someone else is saying, hey, you got to do this now, otherwise you're going to lose the opportunity. Or, hey, I'm not going to wait around for this. If you don't do this now, I'm not going to be here. Never make a decision based off of fear. Now, clearly, we are talking about business decisions. Like, clearly, if it's something where there is actually imminent danger, then we're going to want to, that's actually what this fear feeling activation is. Decisions based off of fear is for when we're literally in an imminent danger. That is when you make a decision that way, but not in these cases that we're talking about right now. Yeah, so I would love to know. I come on live on Fridays at noon PST. I'm in California, and then on Sundays at 10 a.m. PST. So if you can hop on there and check in with me, or even leave a comment here later, the next time you feel that, if you practice that exercise of just pausing, let me know how it works out for you. I'd love to know. All right, so that second teaching was to identify, like, how do you make decisions? Are you an emotional person, make decisions that way? You have a knowing, or if you have that gut feeling in your body. All right, so the third decision, or the third teaching I have for you, is panic versus flow state. We often say, if we haven't felt, some people have not felt what it feels like to be in flow state. Hi, Charlie, thanks for joining. If you don't know what it feels like to be in flow state, you wonder, what does that feel like? I have no idea. Many of us definitely identify with panic, right? We are feeling rushed to make a decision based off of someone else's agenda, a timeline, maybe even you set for yourself. Maybe you said, hey, by tonight, I said I was going to make 10 calls and get 1, 2, 3 deals, or whatever it was. And it's 8 o'clock at night, and you're like, wow, I nowhere near that, right? So sometimes we have to step back and analyze, okay, do I need rest? Was it too high of a goal? We want to look at all the factors that are going on and be easy on ourselves. Charlie, yes, I am talking about how we go into panic mode sometimes when we are elevating, progressing. Maybe if you have your own side business, and you have challenges with staying on track with what you want to achieve. Maybe you don't stay consistent with what you're actually doing, who you're serving, or maybe you're not consistent with the actions that you need to take in your business. All right, so if that helps you, I'd love to have you stick with us. We do come. I'm sorry, I can't tell what you're saying. You're interested, and tell me more. I'd love to hear more about what you do. But I do come on live on Fridays at noon and Sundays at 10 a.m. All right, so the third thing I have for you is panic versus flow state we were talking about. So do we know what flow state feels like in our body, right? Earlier I was talking about, I'll catch you up on this part, Charlie, is that sometimes people don't know what flow state feels like, right? Are you guys familiar with this term? Flow state, right? Are you familiar with how it feels in your body? Oh, okay, subscribing. Awesome, I'm glad. Let's see. Okay, so not sure, right? Okay. Yeah, so the more you come and join me on the lives, I'll show you exercises to figure out what flow state feels like in your body and what to do to when you're in panic mode, or when you freeze, or when you're just reacting, and how do we move our body into flow state. And I'll do that with you in just a moment, actually, in this live here today. So many times when we're in panic, we have this constriction in our body, right? We feel tense. Maybe our shoulders feel tense. Our back starts hurting. That's what happens to me. How does your body physically respond when you're in panic? Okay, if you think about just the last time that happened, sometimes I get tense down the back of my neck. Sometimes I get a headache, right? But when I'm in flow state, ideas are coming and you sleep. Okay, when you're in panic. And actually, let me ask you this question. I'm so glad you said this. When you sleep, when you start going into panic mode, how do you talk to yourself about that? How do you allow yourself to go? Good one. That is very, very aware, Charlie. I really like that. Yeah, because that means you're very aware and in tune with how your body responds. So for IDK, you said you sleep actually. The thing that I want to just mention to everybody, what I'm getting at here is that when you take that time to actually rest your body, you allow your mind to clear, you allow the stresses to kind of like melt away from your body. And the last thing we want to be doing is saying, why are you sleeping? You've been in bed too long, right? Right, yes. Instead, we say, this is good for me. I need this, so I'm going to take this time. And if you're on a time constraint, maybe you set your timer for 20, 30, 40-minute nap, right? And then check in with yourself again. Do I need a little more rest? Then extend that timer, right? So when you allow yourself to move through what you're doing in a way that feels good to you, that is flow state. That's one example of flow state. So for instance, if I go back and thinking about the energy that I had with doing my live or my shorts, I was literally going. I literally thought that I was working off of inspired action. I really did. But I also remember times that I thought, oh, I really should go to bed right now. It's getting late. Or I really should go for a walk. And then maybe I pushed it out till after lunch to go for the walk. Sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it's not. And for me, I realize that I need to take the breaks in between, even if my momentum is good. If I have the thought, go for the walk. If I have the thought, go get a coffee, go eat a snack, do it. And the other caveat there is to congratulate yourself for it. Great job, you're taking a break and you're honoring where you're at right now. Okay, I take my time to lock myself away for 40 minutes. That's great. That's great. I do other circular activities. Yes. Yes, I love that. A part of my flow state manifesting technique is to break away for stretching, take a break for sketching or drawing or coloring. I have a couple of adult coloring books, and I'll just do that. And sometimes it's even just sitting outside of our RV in the sun and basking in the sun and sitting there and just staring in the sky, right? These are all good things. But do you recommend I do something else? Well, would you, I guess the question is would you like to do something else and you're just not sure what? Do you have something else that you think maybe I should do this instead of nap, but you choose to take a nap instead? So think about those things, like what else do you have around you already, or were one of my ideas something that you thought you might do, just sketching or coloring? Or maybe you're a writer, you can write a little script about your day, write a little script about a story that you wanted to remember. Something creative is so good for helping us keep the flow. It's so good for nurturing our body when we get those creative juices flowing with something that we don't normally do. Do you like to go in nature and just go for a walk? You know, sometimes when we're parked in an RV, if I can't go for a walk and there's trees outside, I'll just sit there and just sit by the trees and watch the landscape. I should hang out with my boys or hang out with my girlfriend. I don't know. Okay, yeah, so what I would do when we're off of this live is just take a minute to write down things that you thought would be fun to do. I mean, what if you went roller skating? What if you went like roller skating is like so old school, right? But it's so fun, right? Roller skating, going for a swim, running down the street, just going for a jog, or maybe just stretching. Um, right? So if any of those piqued your interest, then write it down on that piece of paper. Maybe ask your girlfriend, what are some fun things that you want to do that maybe we can do together? Maybe you do that and introduce that to her or to your boys. Theme park, yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is great. Yeah. So we can get so many ideas from this. And a lot of times we don't think about sitting down and writing the things that we're interested in, right? Just have a list. This way, if you ever feel bored and you want to do something different, you can pull out that list and see if there's anything on there that you can actually do, right? Yes, I love doing yoga. And when I don't do yoga every day, but when I do it, it feels so good to my body. And a big part of yoga that I really enjoy is just stretching. So sometimes I will just sit on the floor in the RV and just stretch my legs. That feels amazing. That's rejuvenating for me also. Yeah, great ideas. Awesome. Okay, so these are a lot of what we're talking about today give us energetic signals as to what would be in alignment for us to do next. What are the things that will keep our momentum going? And so any thoughts that resonated with you that sparked any kind of like ADK kept putting in there a couple times, yeah, whatever it was that made you write that note or think it in your mind, write it down as an idea of what you can do to keep your flow, keep your momentum. Sure, yes, absolutely. The important thing here is that if, maybe she can introduce you to something different, right? Maybe you can introduce her to something different. Take turns. Who's going to pick the new thing that we'll do? And if we're interested in doing it together, then do it together. I know for my husband and I, sometimes we do things together. Most things we do together because we live full time in an RV, so we meet new people all the time in new places. But sometimes he needs to go off and do one of the projects. Sometimes I need to go for a walk by myself or go sit in a cafe and have coffee by myself. Those things are very good and healthy also, even if you're in a relationship. But if your girlfriend is someone that wants to explore new things with you, then that's fantastic. Totally encourage that. And I'd love to hear if you guys do that. All right. So let me take a look here. So do you guys have any other questions? Is there anything pressing that you have coming up? Maybe you have something coming up and you want to have the energy to be able to do this thing that do you have any concerns about anything that you'll be doing next? What's next on your agenda? Yeah. So with us being in the RV, we have the luxury of being able to do that, right? We go to new towns. And so when we're in a new town that piques our interest, we make it a point to go into the small town part of the area and just walk around. Let's see. Yeah, IDK, like what else interests you? You mentioned yoga. Yeah. Yeah, because with drop shipping, I imagine that you're at your computer a lot, right? So, since you're interested in yoga, I would highly recommend just doing stretches. Stretches are great. Dancing. I love to put music on in the RV and just dance. That excites me. That keeps my energy going for the day. Okay, great. Awesome. I'm glad that this was helpful. Great. Okay. Let's see. What else do I have for you? All right, so in closing, I hope this was helpful. I hope that you'll join me on Sunday at 10 a.m. PST. And we can talk more about this, maybe follow up and let me know what you did after this call. Did you make a list of the fun things that you like to do? Put it somewhere, share it with someone, or put it somewhere so that you can take a look at it when you're feeling like you need to get out and do something different, right? And let me know what you come up with. Let's see what else. Oh, I do want to tell you that we did start another channel, and it's called Our Life Unpacked. I always want to say that wrong, but it's Our Life Unpacked. In that channel, we talk about our RV life. We talk about the RV we're living in. We pull a trailer, we have solar panels, we go into different areas. And so we're going to share more about that, how we started on this journey. We've been doing it for 2 years now, and people have been asking us some questions about that. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and search for Our Life Unpacked, and I'll try to remember to put that in the comments as well. But thank you so much for joining me. The time, let's see. Okay, so you're in the UK. Right now for me, it's 12:39 p.m. on November 21st. And yes, I'll put a link in the comments momentarily, so just watch back for that. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can. Let me go ahead and do that right now. Give me just a second. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Okay. There it is. So have any of you been interested in the RV life? So IDK, oh, so you're in India. Awesome. In my YouTube channel, under the lives tab, I should have some scheduled links there. So when you go into that tab, you should see how you can find the next live for Sunday. If not, send me a message here and I'll make sure I get a link out to you, but you should be able to find it that way as well. All right, great. Well, it was so nice meeting you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'll see you on Sunday, or maybe I'll see you over at Our Life Unpacked. Have a great day. You're very welcome. Bye-bye.